Hi there, this is Jack Anthony, and I'm going to do a quick voiceover of my slide deck I plan to present the end of this month at Kirtland Air Base. This is designed for commanders and interested people who wonder what I'm going to say. So the core of my slides will be about the foundations of mission ops at Johnson Space Center. So that's why this slide is so spacey. I will go over three topics, reflections on some cool space experiment test and operations that I've had a chance to be with. The theme there would be innovation. Foundations, the theme there is leadership, and talking about how these NASA foundations can be applied in one's career. And then culture. I wrote an editorial a couple of years ago, and I want to throw it out there and see what you all think. I'll introduce a little more about myself. For example, I'm a grandfather, yay. I'm a member of the Alaska Spaceport Board. I'm actually a historian of cool things like the Palmer Lake Star, and Mario and I hike, camp, backpack, and even tackle 14ers. The first reflection I'll be talking about is Clark Keith, who I hope a lot of people there know. Clark was a mentor of mine, and he passed away 2013. The high bay is dedicated in his honor, and that's the plaque you see there. And here's some photos of satellites Clark was involved with, him meeting one of my cadets. I have another Clark slide at the very end that I want to have a discussion on. I'll reflect on the FalconSat program. That was a part of my space journey, 09 to 13. Got some action photos of the cadets, and I thought folks would like seeing these. Maybe I'll explain what they are. I also was the ops officer during the F-15 ASAT test program, so I got a few slides here that I'll explain. One in particular, why is Barney Fife in the slide? I'll actually explain that. Also reflect back on a space test program mission called Mission Zero that hosted the Taos experiment. I'll talk a little bit about that. I got to be very involved with that program across 3 assignments. It was pretty cool. It worked out that way. Here's some montage of some cool pictures that I'll be able to explain. There were other programs I was involved with, many more, but here's a few memorable ones. The NRO STEX program. Upper left, upper right is the Angels program. That's a great accomplishment of y'all down here. Lower right, the Eagle Mycroft experiment. I had a very small role in that. And then the XSS 11 program is something I utilize a lot of the lessons learned from. So I'm really into some quotes. The Taos program, we rallied around Roosevelt's challenge. And recently, in some activities, we got behind the wanted, people wanted for hazardous journey of the Ernest Shackleton expedition of the Endurance. So I'll talk about these quotes real quick. They're just real special. Then we're going to transition to the foundations. This is Paul Hill and Kathy Kerner, 2 flight directors I worked very closely with during the Columbia investigation. Picture of the Johnson Space Center. I bet you all are familiar with it. Famous photo of Gene Kranz lighting up after Apollo 13 got back. These are the foundations of mission operations that I'll be going through, the history and what they mean. And I'm just going to zip through the slides. You'll see how I'm going to reveal these from a historical perspective. The 4 original tenets of the foundations, talk about them. How tough and competent got added due to the Apollo 1 fire, and then vigilance, a reflection of the Columbia disaster. That word was added. 2 other core principles from the original, the suddenly and unexpectedly tenet, and giving your best effort. I'll go through 3 examples of people who did superbly in a sudden and unexpected manner. They are Steve Bales, Apollo 11. Handled the alarms, kept saying, "We are go." He was right. John Aaron, who kept Apollo 12 on its way to the moon after it got struck by lightning. And then Jenny Stein, who was a flight controller on STS-51F and she made a split-second decision to inhibit some shutdowns, and that may have saved the crew and the orbiter. Then we're going to look at reflections, what makes these foundations work, from 6 friends of mine. Nick Combs, he'll talk about trust. He was my first boss in the Air Force. Willie Shelton, an example of well-placed trust. We'll go over that. A former Academy student who went to work at Johnson Space Center, he looks back at it as a perseverance is a key thing that holds these tenets together. Bill Foster, dear friend, and he thinks it comes down to responsibility, and a biggie is that sudden and unexpected principle. So these are the foundations of flight operations, and I think they're a very special part of my life, and I hope these can help your team frame up how they approach projects as teams. Finally, I'll unveil a editorial from December 2019 where I talk about the bedrock of space culture. This is as Space Force was coming out of the chute, and I wanted to introduce this essay, the key tenets of it, and also tell you some of the I don't know whether it's heat or criticism I got for it, but that's okay. And then I might share my answer to the question, so what is space warfighter culture? I actually have an answer to that. Lastly, we'll finish with Clark's rules of operations. Clark gave me these back in the 90s, I think, and he was an amazing mentor, mentored me 89 to 2013 when he passed. I thought maybe we could go through a few of these and maybe get the audience to participate. That is my presentation on speed dial. I just wanted you to know what I think I'm going to be talking about.